Hello and welcome back to the MMA Bar. Today, we're going to discuss one of the greatest fighters to ever walk the earth, B.J. Penn, his origin, his accomplishments, and his legend. Many who have been following the UFC since the earlier years would agree that B.J. Penn is one of the GOATs of MMA. Penn was born in Hawaii to J.D. Penn, who is of Irish and Native Hawaiian descent, and Lorraine Shin, who is of Korean descent. A lot of mixed martial artists are popular. Few are outright loved the way Penn is. There are several reasons for it, but first, let's discuss the rise, battles, and journey of the UFC legend. Just like many great MMA champions, at the age of 17, Penn began training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Shortly thereafter, BJ moved to San Jose, California, to begin training at the Ralph Gracie BJJ Academy with his friend Dave Camarillo. It was here during his time in San Jose that he decided to pursue a martial arts career. BJ Penn's jiu-jitsu career was an illustrious one. Penn began training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Ralph Gracie, eventually earning his purple belt from Gracie. At that point, he moved to Nova União, where he was eventually awarded his black belt. He earned his black belt just 4 years into his BJJ training, a widely renowned feat. Penn is thought to have earned the fastest legitimate black belt of all active Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. A few weeks later, he became the first non-Brazilian to win the black belt division of the World Jiu-Jitsu Championship held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. While Penn's most well-known and prestigious achievement was placing first in the black belt division in the 2000 World Championships, he had success at the Mundials in previous years. B.J. Penn is the first American and non-Brazilian to win the black belt division of the competition. His BJJ accomplishments don't stop there. At the age of 20, Penn finished third, earning himself a bronze medal in the brown belt division, and in 1998 earned a silver medal, placing second in the blue belt division. Nicknamed the Prodigy, he did not disappoint. Seeing his accomplishments in jiu-jitsu, the UFC had no choice but to sign him, as they only needed the best of the best. BJ became one of the few fighters to make his MMA debut in the UFC. While there was a wave of fighters that helped bring jiu-jitsu to the forefront of fighters' minds, B.J. Penn was one of the biggest to do so. Penn made his mixed martial arts debut with the company on May 24, 2001. With a win over Joey Gilbert at UFC 31. He then demonstrated strong striking skills, knocking out lightweights Din Thomas and Kaol Uno before suffering a decision loss in a championship fight against UFC lightweight champion Jens Pulver. In 2003, after Pulver left the UFC and relinquished his title, a tournament to crown a new champion flopped when Penn fought Uno to a draw in the finals at UFC 41, a failure that caused the UFC to later suspend its lightweight division. Penn bounced back later in the year in another promotion with a victory over Future Pride lightweight champion Takanori Gomi to earn his first MMA championship. In little time, Penn came back to the UFC. However, Penn's first UFC championship didn't come until he moved up in weight classes. BJ would post a record of 6-1-1 before challenging himself and moving up to welterweight, where he was usually always outsized. Penn jumped up in weight class to challenge the 5-time defending UFC welterweight champion Matt Hughes to fill a title contention slot in a division where Hughes had already defeated all the available opposition. Heavily favored to win, Hughes lost the fight 4 minutes into the first round by rear naked choke after giving up his back with only 23 seconds left in the round. In the bout, which remains one of the biggest upsets, as well as one of the greatest submission victories in mixed martial arts history. Although one of the GOATs of the sport, B.J. Penn was clouded with controversies throughout his career. His first came when Penn signed to fight for the Japanese Fighting and Entertainment Group promotion, citing a lack of challenging fights left for him in the UFC. The UFC promptly stripped him of the welterweight title, claiming Penn breached his contract and that the signing constituted him refusing to defend his title. Penn filed a suit against the UFC and publicized his side of the conflict, claiming his UFC contract had already expired. Penn filed a motion to stop the UFC from awarding a new welterweight title, but that motion was denied. In his second fight for FEG, Penn fought again at welterweight and defeated Duane Ludwig in under 5 minutes by arm triangle choke. Following the Ludwig fight, Penn moved up in weight class to face the undefeated Rodrigo Gracie at middleweight. Penn won by decision, extending his winning streak to 4 fights. B.J. Penn's first loss in this promotion came when he faced future UFC light heavyweight champion Lyoto Machida, losing by unanimous decision. The fight happened at an open weight class with Penn weighing in at least 30 pounds lighter than Machida. Later that year, Penn returned to middleweight to face Pride Fighting Championship veteran Renzo Gracie, which he won by unanimous decision. In early 2006, UFC President Dana White announced that Penn and the UFC had agreed to a settlement and Penn was to return as a top welterweight contender. Penn re-debuted on March 4 at UFC 58, losing to Georges St. Pierre by split decision in a fight that determined the #1 welterweight contender. Although GSP was declared the winner after a 3-round decision, some believe that Penn had done enough to earn himself the victory, causing noticeably more damage throughout the fight. After the fight, Joe Rogan described Georges St. Pierre's face being a bloody mess, while B.J. Penn barely having a scratch on him. Despite having lost the bout, Penn's performance against Georges St. Pierre is considered to be one of the best put forth against the future UFC champion. B.J. Penn is of the anytime, anyplace, anyweight school of thought. Even though he posted an 11-3-1 record in lightweight, he challenged himself by fighting at multiple weights. He moved up to welterweight and faced GSP, and then to middleweight to face Rodrigo Gracie, then fought a 220-pound Lyoto Machida while weighing 191. B.J. Penn embodied what fighting is all about. That warrior spirit and courage to fight whoever, whenever. After new top contender GSP injured himself during training, the UFC announced that Penn would replace GSP in an upcoming title fight, setting up a highly anticipated rematch with Hughes. In the bout, Penn controlled the first 2 rounds but sustained a rib injury during the scramble to take Hughes back in round 2. He was visibly different in the 3rd round and Hughes was able to take Penn to the mat. An inside control crucifix position rained punches on Penn's head until the fight got stopped. This would be the first time that Penn had been stopped in a fight. In an interview found on Penn's website, Penn stated that by round 3, he could hardly breathe and had no mobility in his core. Despite the injury, Penn congratulated Hughes, calling him a great fighter and saying he deserved the victory. After losing, Penn teamed up with physical trainer Marv Marinovich in a partnership that resulted in some of the best performances in Penn's career. This move helped him move back to lightweight. A few months later, B.J. Penn rematched Jens Pulver and won with a rear naked choke in the 2nd round to put him back in title contention. For the lightweight championship, B.J. Penn was set to face Joe Stevenson. This fight was a must-win for Penn. After inflicting severe damage on Stevenson throughout the fight, Penn worked to backmount and defeated him by rear naked choke in the 2nd round to win the lightweight championship. He celebrated the win by licking Joe Stevenson's blood off of his gloves. The win for Penn was awarded Beatdown of the Year by Sherdog for 2008. With this win, Penn became the 2nd man after Randy Couture to win UFC titles in 2 different weight classes. With this win, B.J. Penn established himself as the best lightweight in the world. But was he to be the best lightweight of all time? For his first title defense in his new reign, Penn fought former champion Sean Sherk in his first title defense bout. The fight was billed by color commentator Mike Goldberg as the biggest fight in the history of the UFC lightweight division. In the closing seconds of the 3rd round, Penn was declared the victor by TKO. After the fight, in response to a question by Joe Rogan about his future, Penn asked the crowd if they wanted to see him fight Georges St. Pierre and was answered with a loud ovation. Penn challenged Georges St. Pierre for St. Pierre's welterweight title on January 31, 2009, the night before the Super Bowl. The date led UFC 94 to be billed as the UFC Super Bowl weekend, and it was anticipated to be the biggest UFC pay-per-view event ever. At the end of the 4th round, after more of St. Pierre's ground and pound onslaught, Penn's brother requested that the referee stop the fight. B.J. Penn went back to lightweight and successfully defended his belt against Kenny Florian and Diego Sanchez, selling out massively. He eventually lost the belt to long-reigning champ Frankie Edgar, and this would be the last time B.J. Penn would wear UFC gold. The prodigy B.J. Penn went from being one of the greatest lightweights ever to a shell of himself in his last fights, winning just one of his last 11 fights. Penn has fought in multiple weight classes and has never shied away from fighters who are naturally bigger than him. B.J. Penn could very well be the most gifted BJJ practitioner of all mixed martial arts. With 6 submission victories, 5 by rear naked choke, when opponents took him down, they usually found out why he's the prodigy. And taking him down was no easy task. Known for incredible dexterity and balance, BJ stuffed an astonishing 77% of takedowns against him. At one time, BJ was known to have the best boxing in all of MMA. His solid jab and devastating right cross added a new dimension for fighters who thought of Penn as just a great ground fighter. Former UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva has said on numerous occasions that he believes Penn to be the greatest pound-for-pound fighter in the history of the sport. Although one of the greatest of all times, Penn could have had the title of greatest ever burned into the fabric of MMA lore. Instead, he'll always be remembered as a what-if. Thank you for watching this video. That's all for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.